Quickly, before we jump into this video, I just want to apologise for the fact there is once again no webcam footage. It suddenly decides to work halfway through the video. I've got genuinely no idea why that works. But yeah, apologies for that. But hopefully you still enjoy the video. Like I said, my face will appear about halfway through. Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we're here back finally with more of the F1 22 Haas Road to Glory. Yes, of course, we've still been absolutely ram-packed with F1 Manager over the last couple of weeks. And of course, we've had so many other exciting and cool things going on that, yeah, we kind of just struggled to find the time to get the F1 Haas Road to Glory in. Of course, I didn't want it overlapping too much as well with Wheel Grand Prix, so we're going to try and get out quite a few episodes between Monza and Singapore, of course, over the next couple of weeks as well, when F1 is a little bit quieter. But yeah, today, though, we return to the Dutch Grand Prix. Of course, last weekend, there was a very, very good race here. If you missed out on the last video from this series, though, would definitely recommend checking that out from the Belgian Grand Prix. 4-wide action, battling for the race win. Certainly well worth going back and checking it out. But today, though, yeah, back at the Dutch Grand Prix. Of course, as always, a massive thank you to all of you that have continued the insane support on the channel. You know, we're well over 80,000 subscribers now, ticked through 82k. We are well on our way towards 90,000 subscribers. And of course, yeah, the big goal of 100,000 by the end of the year. So if you can help me get one step closer, it would be greatly appreciated. But championship-wise at the moment, we're closing in slowly but surely on George Russell after a good run of form in recent weeks. We're still trying to guarantee ourselves P4 ahead of Alpine in the Constructors' Championship as well, but we are a long, long way clear of Fernando Alonso in P8 in the Drivers' Championship, so trying to mix it up with the big teams a little bit more at this stage of the campaign. Zandvoort, though, I'm a little bit worried, won't be a track that suits our car very well, so we're going to have to just try and get into it and see how we get on. Imperium experiences are back and better than ever. This time they are offering you the chance to win a weekend of a lifetime at the 2022 season finale in Abu Dhabi. This includes a 4-night accommodation at a 5-star hotel and travel to and from the circuit included every day. All you need to do is click the link down in my description and enter the competition on their website. But hurry, with only 1,500 tickets available and the competition closing on the 14th of September, you definitely don't want to miss out on this. So click the link down in the description below, and a massive thank you to Imperium for sponsoring this video. Well, here we are then, back at Circuit Zandvoort, here for round 15 of the Haas Road to Glory. And yeah, so far actually, if we practice to anything to go by, car pace feeling a lot better than I thought it would. Car now, we really have got a nice, all well-rounded package here in this Haas Road to Glory. Of course, often, you know, the Haas car is very well known for having good top-end speed, but not great abilities through the corners. But yeah, we've really sort of improved upon it, made it a lot more of a well-rounded car, and especially around tracks like Zandvoort. You know, really this track is much more based on sort of your downforce and your chassis. And now, of course, we have really got a fighting chance, of course. We want to try and get this car to best of the midfield by the end of Season 1, which is looking like we should do in terms of the championship. And then, of course, it's trying to make that big step up towards the front runners, ready for next season. But as we head around this qualifying lap, actually been fairly tidy so far. A couple of little errors here and there, but, you know, this track is old school. Really is going to take a lot to absolutely maximise it there. It punishes any small error. Also, you got sand, you got gravel, you got everything like that all around the outside of it as we head now through at the end of Sector 2 and into the stadium. Hopefully no flares going to be let off here. We head down in towards the final couple of corners then of the lap. This penultimate corner I always find can catch you out, but luckily they get through there nice and tidily. This time, then it's just flat out towards the line. Open up the DRS, unfortunately, out of the final corner. And up to the line, it's a 1:10.9, which puts us P3. 5 cars, 5 different teams in the top 5 at the moment. McLaren and ourselves are really punching. Right, well, 30 seconds left on the clock as we round out, ready to start our last lap here of qualifying then for the Dutch Grand Prix. That is a lot of understeer if you try and hold the highline out of the final corner. Looks like we could see some rain in just a minute as well. There is braking nice and late down towards someone. They just pull the 50-metre board and then get the car into 4th gear on the exit before you try and get full on the throttle. Tip it in through turn 2. And of course, chuck it down through turn 3 there. Try and get a bit cleaner traction this time around than we did last time. but we are still half-tenth down at the moment as we come towards the end of Sector 1, but we know there is time to find around this track, of course, as the lap unfolds. Oh, just nick the grass on the inside there, pushed it towards the exit. So far, this lap is certainly not going to be an improvement. Few scrappy errors through the halfway stage, and now we're just really struggling to find confidence in the car there as we head out onto the back straight. Again, really just pushing to the absolute limits. I mean, we're still in P4 at the moment. It was a very, very competitive lap time at the end of our first run there. George Russell improves. He now goes up even faster in a provisional pole. But Max Verstappen, of course, the Dutchman, going even faster than him there by just a few thousandths. At the final corner for us, this lap's been a complete write-off. 4 tenths down. But if we still start on the second row of the grid here, that will be very, very impressive as we'll speed back into the pit lane. I apologise to everyone. Well, there we go then. Qualifying done and dusted from the Dutch Grand Prix, and George Russell misses out on pole by 8 thousandths of a second here at Zandvoort. But it is Max Verstappen, the homeboy, on pole position at the Dutch Grand Prix. They're P4 for us. We were only 3 tenths quicker than Mick Schumacher, who finds himself down in P11. That's just how close it is at this stage of this career mode there. Half a second between 4th and 13th place. It really is a case of if you get the lap in, you can really find yourself a lot higher up the order there. As I mean, yeah, that second lap would have put us around, would have been slower than the time Mick Schumacher set. But let's get into it then. Dutch Grand Prix here from Zandvoort. Hopefully we can bring home more points and maybe, just maybe, a second podium. This channel is proudly sponsored by Bybit, the official crypto partner of Red Bull's Formula 1 team. I've been using their platform for my personal crypto savings over the last few months, and when they got in touch to support the channel, I was super, super excited. Currently, they're offering you guys a special new promo for the first 100 of you to deposit $10 or more onto the platform. You'll get another $10 free. Also, 5 lucky winners will get their initial deposit doubled up to $1,000. That means if you deposited $1,000 onto the platform using my codes below, you could be within a chance to get another $1,000 completely free. We've seen the landscape around crypto drastically change over the last couple of years, and I genuinely believe it holds an important place in our future. However, please be careful as always when trading, as you are liable to lose money. But if you're interested and you're 18 or older, click the link down below to get started and see why Red Bull and myself, as well as thousands of others, trust Bybit as their crypto.
For years, the passionate Dutch fans have been easy to find trackside in races across Europe. Here this weekend, it's even easier to find the Dutch fans as they have a race to call their own once again. A warm welcome to all of our viewers in the Netherlands and around the globe, of course, as we get underway for the Dutch Grand Prix. 4 lefts and 10 rights make up the 14 corners of the narrow and demanding Zandvoort circuit, with plenty of peaks and valleys over the course of the 2.6-mile lap, which will demand absolute concentration from our drivers here today. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Mr. Monaco, Perez, Lando Norris and Ricciardo, Bottas, Sainz, Verstappen and Esteban Ocon, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Alex Albon and Hamilton. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Vettel, Stroll, Guan Yu Zhou, they've taken a grid penalty, and Nicholas Latifi, Mick Schumacher and Yuki Tsunoda. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. Alongside me to discuss all the action today is Natalie Pinkham. Thanks for joining us, Natalie. And tell me, you were down in the pit lane earlier. How do you think the track conditions are today?
Well, the surface looks clean enough, but I'm a little bit worried about the track temperature. It's pretty cool out there, which could give some teams difficulties when it comes to keeping their tyres in the right operating window. The cars out there that work their tyres hard and really put a lot of energy through them, well, they'll be the ones that are better off.
Right, well here we are then, on the grid, ready for the Dutch Grand Prix, and it was pole position last weekend. We've shifted one row back for this race, but yeah, Max Verstappen then, with some grid penalties, means that it is going to be George Russell who starts from the pole position here. 36 laps ahead of us, though, from the Zandvoort circuit, and I mean, yeah, if we could get a podium on the board, it would actually be our third of the year. No, it would be just our second of the season, wouldn't it? George Russell robbed me all the way back in Azerbaijan, but yeah, I'd take another podium at this stage of the campaign. Of course, 36 laps to navigate first of all, but we can afford to try and be aggressive on lap 1 here. That being said, though, of course, I won't get a good start. It just won't happen. Looks like we have got some split strategies, though. Sergio Perez and myself both on mediums, everyone else around us on the soft, so yeah, that definitely means at least now I've got an excuse as to why I won't get a good start on F1 22, but yeah, we'll wait and see. Trying to explore the limits around the Zandvoort circuit can be rather difficult, as trying to just maybe see if we can psych out championship leader Charles Leclerc, who's going to really psych me out by just making himself invisible there. That's one way to make sure you don't get involved in incidents on F1 22, but yeah, try and put some heat into the tyres. George Russell on the pole for Mercedes. We're, of course, just 10 points behind him in the championship, so George Russell... Okay, it said 0.1. We really did actually nail that, but it won't allow me to have it. And yeah, let's get into it then. Okay, so Dutch Grand Prix time. Right, here we are then, on the grid, ready for the Dutch Grand Prix. Waiting on those 5 red lights. And it is going to be lights out, and away we go, trying to avoid wheel spin as best as possible as we head down towards someone there, and that's probably been one of my best starts on F1 22 so far. We didn't even lose a spot by the time we got into the braking zone of turn 1 there, and actually on the exit, still able to apply some pressure to Charles Leclerc. As you can just see the Ferrari really pushing hard on his tyres early on there. George Russell, I'm sure, will want to try and break free at the start here as Sergio Perez keeps the nose up the inside of myself, but we will say no thank you, and we will slam the door on the Red Bull. But yeah, Charles Leclerc, of course, with sights out of position at the start here after a rough qualifying, has got a big opportunity to extend his championship lead. Just look at Perez trying to look up the inside of myself here on this opening lap, but I'm fully expecting that Mercedes and Ferrari just to break free at the front of the field here early on. Of course, this Haas not the best tyre warm-up, does definitely seem to struggle when it hasn't got the tyres working perfectly. Very, very quick car often, but yeah, not quite when it's not... Yeah, when the tyres aren't there, this thing very much gets nerfed. As we come towards the end, though, of lap 1, just trying to build up a little bit of a gap from Sergio behind, out of the final corner, taking way too much curb there. That curb is absolutely lethal on F1 22, and I'm sure Sergio Perez can vouch for it in real life as well. As George Russell leads then at the end of lap 1, could Mercedes be on for a race victory here today? But championship leader Charles Leclerc all over his gearbox, as somehow we hang on to P3. It's coming towards the end then of lap 2. DRS will now be enabled there, as we weren't far away that time round from the new fastest lap set by George Russell. But we are, unfortunately, not really breaking free from Perez behind either. I mean, he's not applying pressure to me, but we are going to struggle, I think, to pull away from that Red Bull. But yeah, this is just showing how much progress McLaren and Haas have made this year, because you kind of expect your Mercedes, your Ferraris, your Red Bulls to be right there, but we've got a car that can really now try and fight towards the front. Hopefully that can give us good momentum into Season 2. There is still a few more races to go with this first season. It is far from over. There we go, Charles Leclerc now trading fastest laps with George at the front. Both of them still pulling away from me a little bit, but let's say in some theoretical universe, they both go onto a set of hards a lot earlier than me and really do struggle on those tyres. I'm thinking, you know, we're going to have to try and play the Mercedes long game this weekend. Of course, that almost worked for Merc in real life. Maybe, just maybe, but it is still only lap 4. But we have got out the DRS of Perez. We've got legitimate pace here. Oh, here we go. Charles Leclerc now trying to have a look around the outside of George Russell as we head down into the stadium section, but George just hanging firm this time round. Of course, we haven't got the extended DRS zone out of the final corner, so it will make Charles Leclerc's day a whole lot more difficult. But that Ferrari has still certainly got some extra pace over the Mercedes. There is just George Russell, of course, always known as Mr. Saturday. Are we going to see Charles get close back down towards the first corner? I don't think he will this time. But again, you know, if those two start battling, we are just comfortably waiting in the wings, and hopefully can make a difference and try and pounce. You can see now as we're about to start lap 8 of this race, so the gap actually going the right way for the first time here, and it amazes me. Oh, that felt very, very loose out of the penultimate corner there. But yeah, we've been mainly focused on chassis upgrades in recent weeks. This was the weakest part of this Haas car, as new personal best for the day. I think we brought 3 upgrades, Belgium and this weekend, and it just makes so much difference to the car. You know, you sort of look at the performance delta and you think, oh, that won't make much, but it's just that added consistency. You know, the car feels the same going through corners lap after lap, and you just feel like you can push a lot harder there, and you've got the confidence to really go for it. And this is what is allowing us to be a bit more racy and to actually really now probably try and have a go at these top runners. But there is still a long way to go in this race, and of course they're probably going to be boxing by about sort of lap 12. We're going to try and extend our stint a bit longer and see what we can do later on. We might just have got DRS this time around. Yes, we have. DRS off Charles Leclerc then at the end of lap 8. So we are now really giving George Russell and Charles Leclerc a bit of a headache here. That might give us some free time each and every lap if we can stay close enough. But yeah, I'm sure those two are really just thinking of Perez and I. Probably not going to be able to hang close to them early on. But now we are right back with these two. Oh, we've got yellow flags out as we round lap 10 of this Grand Prix. Who is it going to be falling to the wayside? Don't know if it's... Oh, it's an Alpha Tauri. Might be Pierre Gasly. Yeah, it is Pierre Gasly out of the Grand Prix.
Okay, it looks like the problem's terminal. They're retiring the car.
Not sure why we haven't suddenly seen a Red Bull pit, but luckily no virtual safety car or safety car. What we really want is a safety car just after these two in front of pit, so I can get a cheap stop and be out ahead of them. But we are now all over the gearbox of Charles Leclerc, always struggling to put the power down out of that corner. And we just feel so racy at the moment. I'm loving this Haas. As we get in towards the second half of Season 1 of this career mode, it had so much potential at the start of the year. We definitely don't have enough top-end speed to probably look past Charles, but this thing is great. Oh, there we go. Charles Leclerc actually into the pits then at the end of lap 10, so maybe a little bit earlier than we were expecting in this race. Going to have to monitor now to see where he comes back out, because if all these guys get caught in traffic, that could be perfect for us in this race. But George Russell still leads the way then. I'm sure he's going to box probably the end of this one, so a lot earlier than I'd really want to. But yeah, of course we are on the mediums, so we don't have to box till about halfway stage. That's where I'm aiming. There we go. George Russell peels in at the end of lap 11. So about now is when we can do with the safety car then, if Codemasters are listening. But yeah, we'll try and extend this stint as far as possible. George Russell has gone on to hard, so he is going to try and see himself through to the checkered flag. The only issue we've got is Charles Leclerc came out in clear air, so he's probably not losing anything to me. We're going to have to monitor those gaps, because Perez and I now we're just going to try and hang on out here. So there we go, and then we can now monitor the gap to George Russell and Charles Leclerc. It's hovering at about 19 seconds at the moment. So if we could, by some miracle, get that sort of 2021, then it might be worth boxing a tiny bit early in this race, just to make sure we're out in front of them. It would be a big, big gamble, but you can already see, yeah, it is up to 20 seconds. We could try and be very, very cheeky here. As another new personal best for the day. This car is racy. We've got yellow flags out. Someone's got issues. I think that's one of the Alfa Romeos going slowly now. So that is probably Valtteri Bottas then, if I'm right in thinking, and that could well be a safety car pulling over down the start-finish straight. Similar fashion how Bottas retired from the real-life Dutch Grand Prix just last weekend. And are we going to get... Whoa! Are we going to get confirmation in just a moment that whether it is Bottas or Zhou Guanyu? Apparently not at the moment, but like I said, if we got a safety car here, that would work out really, really well for us in this Grand Prix. It is Zhou Guanyu, sorry, that is out of the Grand Prix, but George Russell, 20.3 seconds behind. The gap's still going the right way at the moment, but it's probably not going to be doing it for much longer. Do we pit now and hope that we get ahead of them? Or do we just stay out, follow our plan, and hope that we're quicker than towards the end? Because they are getting very, very close. In fact, no, it was just a bit of a timing bug there. I thought if they start battling, that would work out beautifully. We're going to box the end of this one, though. Try and see these mediums to the... hard tyres to the end. So far, so good. We are just using the last of our battery, though, on lap 15. Oh, very, very aggressive down in towards the stadium, and that might be the difference. You know, we just don't know how close this is going to be by the time we head back out of the pit lane. We need to try and get a good stop here, but we need to be aggressive into the pit lane as well. He's used the last of the energy out of the final corner. As we head now down into the pit lane, going to be super, super aggressive. Make sure we get the car slowed down. Pretty much perfect there as we head into the pit lane. And now we just got to monitor the gap between George Russell and ourselves. There goes Perez. He's going to inherit the lead of this Grand Prix for a couple of laps. But can we do the impossible and overcut a Mercedes and a Ferrari in our little Haas car that could? Out of the pit lane we go. I don't want to speak too soon here because we've got to make sure we get out of pit exit. But we might just have done this. Trying to put the power down. And look at that, we have. By 2 seconds, we're ahead of George Russell and Charles Leclerc in this Grand Prix there. We've got still cold rubber that we've got to navigate. But, oh, come on. How on earth have we managed this? We are now into the net lead of the Dutch Grand Prix here. And I said this weekend the car probably was going to struggle. I guess the other thing we've got to make sure we do is just try and keep George Russell out of the DRS range here, as he is going to be very, very close out of the final corner. And George Russell is definitely within the DRS range. That's not going to help me out too much then in this Grand Prix, but we are just going to have to play a patience game. We've got slightly fresher tyres to hopefully see us through to the checkered flag. There's Carlos Sainz now up at a P5 of the Grand Prix, of course, courtesy of Alex Albon making his pit stop. But yeah, nearer the halfway stage of this Grand Prix, and things so far have gone pretty much as well as we ever could have imagined. So we got Perez into the pit, so we will get confirmation in just a moment that we are back into the lead of the Dutch Grand Prix. And as we head back down towards turn 1, Sergio's not going to be far away. He has not quite had the pace of the front runners today. You can just see there how hard we're still pushing as we get to the halfway stage. We're going to try and look after these tyres later on. But again, we should be in a much better position than George Russell and Leclerc behind me. But will Perez now suddenly become a threat? Oh, into lap 18, George Russell getting closer and closer to me as we head back down towards turn 1. And here comes our fellow Brit up the inside, of course, battling for P6 in the Drivers' World Championship. And George Russell can't pull off the move that time round then, so quite surprised he wasn't more aggressive there with his overtaking attempt. As actually George Russell runs horribly wide down at turn 3. And now suddenly Charles Leclerc now up at a P2 of the Grand Prix once again. He's been in P2 for a lot of the early stages, and now he's in P2 behind a completely different car. Here we go then. Now was the big test in this Grand Prix with Charles Leclerc all over my gearbox. That Ferrari, we all know just how good that Ferrari car is down the straights. Carlos Sainz, of course, played a very, very aggressive move on me last weekend at Spa-Francorchamps. So we'll wait and see as to what happens this time around there as we try and tip it down through turn 3 again. Charles Leclerc now all over my gearbox. Well, you know, we all know how difficult it can be to overtake at Zandvoort. We said we wouldn't have had the top end speed to get past him earlier, but will he have the top end speed to get round me? Well, at the moment, I still feel like we're getting the benefit of this pretty fresh set of the hard compound tyres there, and Charles Leclerc and George Russell aren't able to apply the pressure you'd expect them to as we head down through the final couple of corners. It's actually given us a chance to save up a bit of ERS. There we go. Mark and I on exactly the same wavelength, because Zandvoort, we all know how difficult it can be to try and save back up battery around this venue. So 15 to go. Charles Leclerc, of course, does still take time out of me down in Sector 1, or down to Turn 1 even, I should say. But green Sector 1, green Sector 2 still. We are just keeping pace. Now at 2/3 race distance then, and this one, we are still pushing like crazy, but we are keeping Charles Leclerc at arm's length here, so things looking rather good at this stage of the day. We've just got to not do anything stupid inside the final few laps here. Maybe, just maybe, something is going to be possible. So I'll just chuck the car down over the curbing through the first couple of turns there. Again, don't want to get loose and lively down there. It's all about trying to be smooth towards the checkered flag here today. And that might be easier said than done. I think Charles Leclerc might just have made a mistake down at turn 3, because now the gap's opened up to 2 seconds here over Charles Leclerc. So all that battery we've saved up might be worth trying to use some of it now, just to make sure we keep the gap over the 1 second mark, because if we can try and build up a little bit of freedom away from the Ferrari, this could be us plain sailing to the checkered flag here. But an unlikely error from Charles Leclerc, but then again we saw the same thing happen to George Russell earlier on. Let's try and check out of this one then. Couple of qualifying laps to come, and hopefully we won't bottle it. Here we go then, end of lap 27, green Sector 1, green Sector 2, it's a 13-1, and this is what we want to do. As soon as we've been given a chance to break free in this race, new fastest lap we go, and this Haas car has absolutely come alive since the summer break there. We spent so much early on in the year trying to get the upgrades on, but now we are absolutely motoring here at Zandvoort. I don't know if it's a combination of just seeming to find setups that really work with it as well. But this car, I know I've said it a couple of times, it's an absolute joy to drive at the moment. It's genuinely putting a smile on my face. And all I can think of at the moment is surely Charles Leclerc and George Russell have just got those tyres out of the window where you can really push them. Once the tyres on F122 get over 40%, you definitely just feel a bit of a change in the way they handle there. And yeah, they must definitely be over that 40% mark. So at the moment, 7 laps to go of this Grand Prix. The other thing I've suddenly thought about, Haas are the only team in Formula 1 currently that haven't had a race victory in some sort of facet of their history. Of course, Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull win all the time. McLaren, of course, have won countless times in the past. The same can be said for Williams. AlphaTauri, of course, Pierre Gasly won. Alpine, of course, Esteban Ocon won. I mean, and then you've got, what? I'm trying to think. Alfa Romeo, of course, Robert Kubica. And then it's us. Oh, sorry. Racing Point with Aston Martin as well. I'm trying to remember 10 teams. Oh, no. Please. Please. I haven't had a mechanical failure yet on F122. I never wanted to mention it because we've been so lucky with it so far this game. I cannot be talking about maybe getting Haas's first win as the engine could go bang. Is this it? I don't know what happens on F122. Is it over? We seem to be fine. Is it like a faulty sensor? This is the scariest moment I think I've had on this game so far. There is so much at stake at this very moment, and I don't know whether the engine's going to go pop or whether it's absolutely fine. Well, we're definitely losing a lot of performance suddenly with 5 to go here because the gap to Charles Leclerc has suddenly come down. And I didn't make any mistakes that last lap, but we did certainly lose a second. So I think the engine has definitely got some sort of issue on it. Don't know quite what it will be though. Luckily we've got enough fuel still to see us through to the end, but now we are losing some pace late on in the day. I really don't know what's happening at the moment, but the car certainly isn't as quick as it once was. We can't now get back into the 113s in this Grand Prix as Charles Leclerc, 1.2 seconds back, 4 to go here in Zandvoort, and are we about to get absolutely robbed of potentially the biggest race ever for Haas Formula 1 team here? We're going to have to try and get our elbows out with Charles Leclerc, but at the moment we're just trying to hang on there. We've got to try and save the battery till when he gets to us, because obviously then we can give ourselves a fighting chance still down the straights, but we are definitely down something. This as we are about to start that 34 of 36 here, Charles Leclerc now all over my gearbox. One thing the lack of power has done though is meant that we can get very good traction out of the final turn, which is kind of helping us in a weird way, but not for very long. So a little bit wide there down in turn 1, trying to just brake as late as we can, but this is now gone from comfortable potential race victory to trying to hang on in the last few stages of the Dutch Grand Prix. I mean, if this was a Spa or a Monza, we'd be screwed. Leclerc would be long gone into the distance, but because it's Zandvoort, it's an old school circuit in a very different way. There is very little room for overtaking, and this is going to become the widest Haas car you have ever seen. Oh, George Russell now trying to have a look past Charles Leclerc, so I think George Russell perhaps sensing the fact there is still an opportunity at the race victory here, and this could be an absolute lifeline for us as Russell has completed the move on Charles Leclerc. Will they continue to battle back down towards someone there? Yes, they will, and Charles Leclerc will muscle his way to the inside of George Russell. We can't afford to watch it though. We've got to try and get away from him as best as possible there. As will Charles Leclerc up the move, he's going to have the inside for turn 2, but George Russell not wanting to give up on it just yet there as they're still side by side. Now George Russell has pulled off the move there, must have kept it at the inside ready for turn 3, and will the Mercedes in a lap and a half be able to close up 1.7 seconds? Round in the final corner then, about to start the last lap of the Dutch Grand Prix. I don't know whether the engine's refigured itself out, but suddenly now George Russell has very little pace over me. It must have got better again, because the pace has suddenly come back the other way, so I've got no idea what's going on in the dying stages of the Dutch Grand Prix. But as we start the final lap here, I cannot begin to imagine how Gunther Steiner is feeling on the pit wall. This team, in the 7 years it's been in Formula 1, has seen so many highs and so many lows. They came in immediately, were strong, set in the midfield. They slowly slipped back with Grosjean and Magnussen behind the wheel. They took a big gamble in 2021 there to completely abandon the car and just solely focus on the new regs for 2022. And that was going to be make or break for Haas in the world of Formula 1. If they didn't adjust to these new regulations, well, that was game over. But as we come round the final lap of the Dutch Grand Prix, I never expected Zandvoort. We've got purple in the middle sector. I never expected Zandvoort to be a track where we would not only be strong, but that we could also try and challenge the front runners. But through the final corner, against all the odds, we're going to come round the banking. Of course, Haas have won many, many races around bank circuits before, but the American dream is real, and we are a Grand Prix winner.
Oh, you worked hard for that one. Congratulations. Well done.
What a great race then, and a magnificent victory here at the Dutch Grand Prix. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
There aren't many teams, as they come out onto the podium now, who could do what Haas have managed to accomplish here. It's hard to believe how competitive they've already become. Amazing victory. Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. So let's review the updated driver standings. So then, Natalie Pinkham, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Yuki Tsunoda gets my vote today.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Ferrari continue to extend the gap at the top of the table. There was also a strong showing from the McLaren team today as they make their way up the standings. Well, that was certainly an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Dutch Grand Prix, and like I said, that one did genuinely feel like it has come out of nowhere there. No idea. I've never seen that before on the F1 game, but apparently we've got a friend request or something has just popped up. But there we go. Grand Prix winner for the first time on F1 2022 as well there, ahead of George Russell, 1.7 seconds at the checkered flag, half a tenth clear fastest lap as well, but a better strategy today prevailed, and we walk away with the dub. Russell P2 ahead of Leclerc and Sergio Perez, Sainz ahead of Verstappen, and yeah, Verstappen a good recovery there from 9th place on the grid. Lando beat out Alonso, Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon, so both McLarens and both Alpines are getting into the points there, and Hamilton, yeah, disappointing day for him, only able to work his way up to 12th place there. Zhou Guanyu and Pierre Gasly both not making it to the checkered flag, and that means championship-wise, we are now just 2 points behind George Russell, and now suddenly Hamilton might be beatable by the end of the year as well there. What a turnaround that would be if we could somehow finish ahead of both Mercedes. Constructors-wise though, McLaren jump Alfa Romeo there as they continue to make progress. They might get Alpine by the end of the year, but I'm hoping we should be pretty safe in front of them. But yeah, what a race victory that was in the end. Like I said, I'm genuinely lost for words because I was not expecting to be anywhere near the front this weekend. But there we go then. The Haas road to glory is done, surely. We brought glory to Haas. And what can we say apart from that? Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like and get yourself subscribed. And we will be back very, very soon, ready for the Italian Grand Prix. A power circuit, surely that's going to play into our hands. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.